Percent of error. So percent of error is similar to percent of change, only you're trying to figure out what percentage or the measure that you are off of a prediction to the actual value. So it's a measure of the difference between an estimate, prediction, or a guess and the actual value that was given. The amount of error is always a non-negative when calculating the percent of error, so you would use the absolute value of the difference. So the equation, again, is similar to the one we used for percent of change. It's going to be the estimate minus the actual divided by the actual times 100. So percent error is the amount of error, so the difference of the error, divided by the actual value, and then again times 100 so that you write that decimal as a percentage. So if I look at example 1, it says I estimate the repairs to cost $80. However, they really cost $120. Find the percent of error. So my estimate is 80 minus the actual of 120 divided by my actual. So when I go about solving this, I'm going to end up with negative 40 over 120. Again, we're using the absolute value of this, so it's always going to be a positive result. And then when I divide this, I end up with 0.333 repeating. So when I move it 2 places to the right or multiply it by 100, I get 33.3 repeating percent, or 33 1/3%. For example 2, it says the jar of candies had 89 pieces. I guessed the jar had 100. What is my percent error? So my guess was 100 minus the actual of 89 over the actual of 89. So when I subtract these, I get 11 out of 89. When I divide, I get 0.1235, and then I move my decimal 2 places to the right, so I'll have 12.35% or 12.4% depending on how the directions tell you to round. For example 3, it says Susie tries to read 50 pages of a novel per day. In 1 week of 7 days, she managed to read 280 pages. What was her percent error? First off, we say that this says 50 pages per day. And this one says in 1 week, she had 280 pages. So out of 7 days, she had 280 pages. So the first thing you need to do is find how many pages for this week, either per day, or I can multiply 50 by 7 to get how many she was planning on doing that week. So if I do 50 pages times 7 days, she wanted to read 350 pages that week. When I go to solve this, I now am going to have how many pages she wanted, 350, minus what actually happened, divided by what actually happened. So when I do my subtraction, 350 minus 280 is going to give me 70 divided by 280. When I divide this, I get 0.25. Move my decimal, so I get 25% for my error. Again, you can solve this a second way. The first way, we figured out how many total pages she wanted to read for the week. For the second way, we're going to solve it to figure out how many pages she averaged in 1 day. So if I had 280 and I divide that by 7 days, I'm going to get 40 pages per day. So now, same concept. Instead of my 350 of what I wanted, I'm going to have my estimate of 50 minus the actual of 40 over the actual of 40. So I'm going to get 10 over 40, which gives me 1/4 or 25%. The key is you need to remember to convert into the same format. So you can't do the math with the numbers 50 and 280 because one is per day and one is per week. So make sure that you convert to the same unit of measure. And the last example, it says that Sam does an experiment to find how long it takes an apple to drop 2 meters. His guess is 0.65 seconds, but he measures 0.62 seconds. What is his percent error? So again, his guess was 0.65 minus what he measured, or the actual value, divided by the actual value. When I subtract these, I get 0.03 divided by 0.62, and I'm going to end up with 0.0483. Move my decimal 2 places, so it's going to be 4.83% or 4.8% error. Again, the one key is to remember that your percent error is always measured with positive values.